guys? Another Adonis review. We are discussing today a game called AVOWED and if it's worth your time, your precious, precious time. Now, there's a lot of similarities that first come to mind when I played this game that I would come to how I'd like to think and portray this game so other people can kind of understand what I mean. And the first things that I immediately thought of when playing this was now wait for me to kind of explain, an Elden Ring Fable 2 kind of mashup. It's like if Elden Ring and Fable 2 got morphed together, and then you got the bootleg version of that game, or like the kid friendly version Elden Ring copy of it or something. Now, to be fair, just because I'm saying it's like a bootleg, lesser quality, or like a Proda version of it instead of Prada, doesn't make it bad. It just doesn't make it spectacular at the level of like Elden Ring. It kind of more makes me think of like a simplistic version of pulling off Fable 2, but with a different kind of magic system. So why do I say this? How do I come up with this? So first, I would say the art direction overall makes me think of Fable. A bright, very medievalish type of atmosphere with quirky characters and whatnot. That they all kind of look a little goofy and less serious, with a somewhat their plot. It what comes to mind is kind of like why I feel that Fable, just really kind of the atmosphere of the game, reminds me of Fable 2, which, at the time was one of my favorite games. The way they pulled off their magic system, I really enjoyed it. I'd say that kind of, I guess, probably the extent of Fable when it comes to this. Now, I feel like the biggest disagreement most people might have, if they have played this game, is me saying Elden Ring. Now, there's only one real reason I say it reminds me of Elden Ring, and that is just the core concept of Elden Ring plops you into a map that's essentially 99% unviewable, and then you kind of just start wandering around and kicking shit's ass as you unlock more of the map, and that's kind of how you explore Elden Ring. You kind of see an area of the map you haven't really invested time in yet, or maybe you see a house over somewhere and you're like, what the fuck is that? And then you head over there and you investigate it and you kind of open up that misty area of the map so it's not misty anymore, and you now know what it is and you've explored it. That's essentially this entire game. This game exceeds in the fact that it's so simplistic overall. I feel like anyone can play it and understand it immediately. It takes absolutely no brain cells to play this game. You literally, just the basis of any video game, it's just it's core simplicity. You are a person that can have a weapon in your hand, whether it be a sword, axe, or hammer, and you can strike people with it. If you hold down the striking button, it'll like gather energy and you do like a super strike, and then they do it's like a better animation than most games, how they show you gaining power for that strike. And then in your other hand, you can have another thing, like a spell book, and the spell book's kind of like the main way they show magic in this game. So spell books have 4 different spells, and they can kind of change and vary. Overall, there's not only 4 spells, there's 20 spells maybe overall, that kind of level up and get stronger, and then like I said, you can have like a spell book that's all fire spells, and could start off with a flamethrower, and then fireball, and then like a meteor shower of flames could be at the highest tier of it, so and then you can have your sword in one hand, and that's kind of like where this game's most uniqueness comes from, is essentially how they kind of make the dual wielding part of it, because essentially you kind of get 2 slots of dual wielding, or one wielding if you choose a two-handed weapon, which is a bummer, because the thing that makes this game funnest is kind of switching off and going between things. So anyways, you get your spell book to do spells, you get your sword or whatever to do sword hitting shit, or a gun or something, and you go about your way, leveling them up with shit, or getting stronger ones with a lot of money, what have you. I'd say one of the most confusing things about this game is that you also get a wand as a weapon that exists in the world. And I don't know if I'm missing something, but I just really don't understand the point of it, unless they're just trying to say it's like a different version of a gun or something. Because I don't really know why you would have a spell book and a wand in a game, and instead of just like, why don't you just make the wand the spell book, and then you just can do the same thing you do with the spell book with the wand. I don't know why there's both. I don't know if I missed something throughout the game and why there's 2 of them. But I digress. So like I said, if you ask me what the story of this game is, you're a godlike, which is like a person that's like a demigod of some sort that's like in tune, or his body has like weird nature, weird malfunctions and shit growing out of him, which makes it obvious to everybody that you're some weird godlike person. You've been sent to this land to fucking do government stuff, and then immediately when you get there, bad shit happens to you, and you need to investigate it and investigate this weird land, and you get dropped into this map. And this map, like I said, is 99% misty and you can't see it. And it's like, wow, this looks big. This is going to take a while. And then you learn later on, or pretty shortly, that it's not that big. And there's actually, like 4 different maps that you're eventually going to go to and explore just like that. So there's definitely a good amount of area to this game. It's definitely worthwhile when it comes to the size of the overall map and the areas you get to explore. And like I said, the way that exploring works in this game is you fucking land, and you start going somewhere, and eventually you remember that there's missions you need to do, and you haven't found anything neat in a while. Maybe you should go back to the missions, because maybe they'll give you something good, and you kind of just do rinse and repeat that for every lane you go to, and then eventually you're like, wow, I should move this mission so I can have the new map. I think it's time to. I think this map's giving me everything it's worth giving me. So like I said, it's simple. It gives you the core mechanics, immediately almost. So it allows you to immediately kind of go into having an axe or a sword or your gun or your spells. So you don't need to kind of wait to build those things. So it's easy for anyone to play, and I think anyone to kind of instantly kind of get into and like. Which leads me to the main biggest flaw of this game, beyond its, kind of like whatever-ish story, is I'd say the thing that kind of hooks people the most in any game I've learned over time, to where it becomes a game that they didn't just turn on and then, play for an hour and then kind of just give up on, is having things that kind of instantly feel like you're moving forward in the game and getting stronger and getting better powers and stuff. And even though this game starts off with giving you things in the beginning, which, it makes it easy to play off the bat, it makes it hard to hold you when you go so long clearing out this map and doing all this shit, and you don't really get the rewards that you should be getting when you do it, which they could easily do. They could easily, fucking stock this game with just, they call them unique for the legendaries, unique weapons. And it's not that big of a deal, right? They could just be unique and have slight changes and different modifications and modifiers for it. And if they added more, it would make the playing constantly, trigger those dopamines to constantly feel good about what you're doing. But I think I looked it up, and there's like 10 maybe legendary or unique weapons in each map, and this is like, and there's like one or two for each like type of weapon. So there's like only two swords maybe that are like unique in a given map. So there's like no variety basically. And that's really the biggest downfall of this game, because like I said, that's kind of the thing that makes people want to continue playing, and it kind of moves people to get to the finish line, is by getting stronger and getting like, new weapons to try out and explore. And if you're playing for 5 hours and you've only unlocked, two new unique weapons, and they're not good and you don't really like them at all, it really makes it hard to, the more it makes it hard to keep moving forward and wanting to continue. Because eventually you learn that it's not going to give you the rewards that you're hoping to get. And then overall, you try to like level up another weapon, and that shit takes so long and takes so much items that you will eventually just get a weapon that's already at like the higher level, and it's like, why, like they make that too difficult. So just kind of evolving weapons and getting new ones takes so long and doesn't work well enough that can ruin it for people midway into the game when they're not getting the rewards that equate to all the exploration they're doing. But this game is free on Game Pass right now, so there's not a lot of risk in that sense. If you have Game Pass to play it, I'd say it's definitely worth playing. I think many people can get into it immediately, and the graphics are good enough to enjoy in modern day as well. But if you had to pay for this game, that's where it would be a bit tougher. I think this game is good for what it is. It's not a masterpiece, but it's not exactly worth a bunch of money either. Maybe if you had to pay for it, like $35 would probably be the max I'd say you should pay for it, at this early stage. If you pay more, it's just not a good bargain, I'd say. The realistic price for this game would probably be like $20 is what it'd be worth. $25 it'd be fair, because again, it's not a bad game. It's just not, an elite game like Elden Ring. And Elden Ring is a good example, because Elden Ring has you wandering around certain areas. But, when you wander into an area and find a difficult person, yes, they'll kick your ass, and what makes it hard. But you will get a worthwhile weapon from that person that has some crazy unique ability that's sick as fuck that you can add to your arsenal. That same thing here doesn't really happen. When you kill this bear, you're going to get fucking something that you could care less about, truly. And that's the main problem. But overall, it's simple, it's fun, the colors are easy, and it's very easy to digest. It's definitely not a bad game. There's just, in the middle, they lose you on things that can really hook you with those weapons. So, hope that helps for people who are wondering if it's worth giving time. It is worth trying, but if it's worth finishing, you'll find out.